Hey everyone, hope you all are doing fine. Okay, so we have got that 2025 paper over here. All right, I mean, these are two grammar questions taken from ZAT 2025. What happens in ZAT grammar? चालूपंथी दिखाते हैं ये, मतलब उन्हें एक ही क्वेश्चन में बहुत सारे ग्रामर कॉन्सेप्ट्स टेस्ट कर लेना है आपका. So this is what they do, and this format has been there for the last many years. I mean, ZAT is not a test that loves changes. बहुत ही conventional, orthodox in fact. Now, इसमें मैं आपको concepts तो बताऊंगी ही. I'll tell you something else also यहाँ पे. What is going to help you with these questions of ZAT? There is a course of mine called Grammar 150, which is in the form of recorded videos. In this course, especially the first 100 concepts are the most important ones. The remaining 50 are like, okay, you can say sub concepts or like, supporting concepts. Make sure you go and cover this. Because once you do these points, the concepts, I have explained those with like a lot of examples and बहुत discussion हुआ है उसमें, ठीक है. So once you do these concepts, you will be very good with these points that ZAT generally gives. Why is that so? Because इसमें जो है ना, I mean, this compilation has been done on the basis of 10 to 12 years of ZAT papers. ZAT का, NMAT का, SNAP का, सबका लेकर के I have compiled those concepts, and that is why it actually works. Now, let's go through these questions and see कि इसमें क्या है concepts. Fine. अभी now इसमें पूछता क्या है? And please remember this point. In ZAT, you will get only short sentences as your grammar questions. ठीक है, अभी तक तो यही आ रहा है. Suddenly, if one fine day it decides to make a change, well, we cannot be sure about that. चलो. So अभी इसमें क्या पूछ रहा है? Which of the following options contains only grammatically correct sentences? You get these 6 points, 6 concepts. Okay. Now, कितना भी लंबा सेंटेंस हो, कुछ भी हो, ग्रामर कॉन्सेप्ट जिसमें लोचा है, it will be a very small point. So what do we do when we see these? There are less cars on the road today. There is a problem here. Why? Because this is countable, uncountable noun. Okay. Then she is nicer than her sister. What should you be able to check? Than है, comparison, first degree, second degree, I mean positive degree, comparative degree, superlative degree, क्या लगेगा यहाँ पर, ये देखना है, right? I have been here from Monday. This tense, have been. I have been teaching you. I have been sitting here, right? This tense. So for, since, from, क्या लगेगा, ये देखना है, right? I know how to swim. You know to do something. I know how to drive. You know how to cook. Do you know how to drive? Do you know how to swim? You have to check this. Even this concept is there in my Super 150, this Grammar 150 course that I just mentioned. She is the girl that won the case competition. Now you can be a little confused in this. Why? Because that लगेगा, who लगेगा, थोड़ा सा उसमें ना, like there are two conflicting views. उसको हम इधर किनारे रख देते हैं. Then we come to this. The media are divided on the issue. Media is, media are क्या है? Okay. So in this question, I can see like except this, all the others are staring at you directly. Okay. So these are conspicuous errors, and you can actually spot these with a little bit of fine tuning yourself in my Grammar 150 course. Okay. अभी चलो हम इसमें discuss कर लेते हैं. So cars, when we say cars, these are countable. Okay. What are countable nouns? Countable things are जिसका हम plural बना सकते हैं. So don't ever think of it this way that countable is something in which like countable वो है जिसमें like you can you can touch, you can see, tangible, intangible. No. Countable is something for which you can make a plural. Feeling, feelings, emotion, emotions, success, successes. These are countable nouns, despite the fact that you cannot touch success or feeling or emotion. On the other hand, furniture, equipment, poetry, scenery, these don't have plural forms, despite the fact that you can actually touch furniture. You can touch equipment, you can hold it. Okay, you can write poetry. So that is the case. So please remember this point, countable and uncountable. So here it should be, for countable we use few, for uncountable we use less, right? Now another point comes here. There are less cars, or there are few cars, or there are fewer cars. Let's say they give you there are few cars today on the road today, or there are fewer cars. You should know the difference. Now, I'll write it down over here for you. There is something called little. We have less as the comparative degree and least as the superlative degree. Here we have few, fewer, fewest. Okay, सबसे कम, right? Now, here in the original sentence, if they have given you there are less cars, यहाँ पे आपको उतना मतलब नहीं है, आपको fewer लगाना, fewest लगाना, doesn't matter. You just know that this is countable, so you cannot use less. But I'm explaining this point just for your benefit. So, less हटाओगे, let's say you have to put the correct word. What will you use? Less is comparative, so you're going to use fewer from here. You cannot use few. Now, in the sentence, if they give you there are few cars on the road today, that is correct. आज ना के बराबर गाड़ियां हैं. Few means ना के बराबर. There is little hope in the project. ना के बराबर, right? So there are few cars on the road today. This is correct. There are fewer cars on the road today. Going by this, even this is correct. So long you use few or fewer, okay? Or you can use some. Some is such a word that can be used for both countable and uncountable. There is some hope, there is some water, there is some rice, there are some children, there are some chairs. I hope this point is clear. Okay? So here it should be fewer. Clear? Next, she is nicer than her sister. This is an adjective. The moment you see than, you should be able to kind of think this way. Oh, okay, this is an error-prone zone. मुझे यहाँ check करना बनता है. As I told you, you will get these short sentences, and the concept is right there. Okay, so nicer than, just like we have good, better, best, bad, worse, worst, beautiful, more beautiful, most beautiful, slim, slimmer, slimmest. Similarly, we have nice, nicer, nicest. If we put than, we cannot say she is nice than her sister. It has to be comparative degree. Than के साथ लगता है. Now, there's one locha here. How do you know whether you should put here nicer or more nice? You get the point? You should put beautifuler or more beautiful. ये तो पता है सबको कि हाँ ठीक है, more beautiful लगता है. But let's say I give you rough. More rough or rougher? Okay, cold. More cold or colder? That is one locha in which they can give you an error. How do you decide that? It depends on the number of syllables that are there in the word. Okay, now watch this. Nice. I move my mouth just once. I move my tongue just once to pronounce that word. Nice. Nice. One syllable. So it will be E-R-E-S-T. Cold. Once I moved my tongue. Colder, coldest. Okay. Slim. One. Slimmer, slimmest. Absurd. Absurd. Two syllables. Cannot be absurd or absurdist. Right? Weird. Weird. We don't say weird. Weird. No. Weird. So it's one syllable. Weirder, weirdest. Okay. We have got brutal. Brutal. tell. Two syllables cannot be brutal or brutalist. So if it is one syllable, hot, cold, nice, big, small, sub में ER, EST. Similarly in nicer, I mean nice, nicer, nicest. If there are two syllables and the word ends with Y, naughty, haughty, HAUGHTY, pretty, sexy, dirty, filthy, two syllables, smart, smart is one syllable, there is nothing called smarty, okay? So, filthy, two syllables, naughty, two syllables but ending with Y, so it will be IERIEST. And जो two syllables and more, absurd जैसे मैंने आपको दिया एक, ठीक है, brutal, two syllables and more, they don't end with Y, it will always be more and most. So this is the most brutal act committed by mankind. Okay, this is more absurd than I could have imagined. Got it? So this is correct. She is nicer than her sister. This is correct. I have been here from Monday. I have been here, पहले से मैं हूँ यहाँ. You cannot say I am here from Monday or I am here since Monday. No. I have been here. So this tense is correct. What about this? It cannot be from Monday. It has to be I have been here since Monday, since 12th June, since 2025. Okay, so when you're giving a specific time, date, day, year, month, since June, since May, whatever, it has to be since. On the other hand, if you say I have been here for the last 3 days, so you're not giving the exact day, but you're just giving a period. So I have been here for 4 years. I have been here for 3 days. I have been teaching you for the last 2 hours. Aisa. Got it? So this is done. So I have been here from Monday. This is wrong. This is wrong. है ना? I know how to swim. When you are trying to say that you know how to do something, it can be anything. It can be swimming or cooking or it can be teaching, anything. If you know something, if you know how to do something, this word has to be there. So this is correct. You cannot say I know to swim. Do you know to drive? No. Do you know how to drive? All right. She is that girl. She is the girl that won the case competition. There are some people who say that if it's a specific person, if it's a specific thing, we can use that. But that, being very conventional, says no, here we have to use who. So this is wrong according to XAT standards. The media are divided. Media is a collective noun, okay, but there are a few words like media, jury, panel, group, team. These have come in CAT paper, okay, now and then. So you can just remember these. So media, jury, panel, group, team. What happens? These are collective nouns, but the thing is, if they are divided, it will be plural. If they are united, it will be singular. The jury gives its verdict in the next 1 hour. The jury decides to hang the man. The jury are divided on the verdict. Okay, so इनमें कोई भी divided है तो they are plural, otherwise singular. So अब यहाँ पे देखो आप, so this one is what? This is correct. If you have to pick here B, D and F. So B, D, F. You got it? How to do it faster? You can just pick the easy ones and then you can go down and according to the options you can work your way through. Alright, so we are done with this. The next one. The dean asked for additional funding. Asked for. Now there's a difference between asked and asked for. Okay. The boss discussed about the new. Discussed. Should we use about with it? Shouldn't we? So this is the locha. Radhika is good in data interpretation. In or at. That is the locha. Neil is transitioning into a new phase of life. transition into or transition to or transition in preposition का लोचा. Rajat emphasized on the need. So Rajat emphasized the need or Rajat emphasized on the need, right? And then this car is superior to the previous one in terms of efficiency. Now, here's what I would do in this case. ये भी आपको grammatically correct पूछ रहा है. Like this is the easiest one. The car is superior to, inferior to, junior to, senior to. Please remember these four words. So superior to is correct. You cannot say the car is superior than. Okay. So F तो रहना चाहिए आपके आंसर में. It's this or this or this. Correct? Now, look for another easy one. Emphasized on, Neil is transitioning into, let's say you're confused about these. Radhika is good in data interpretation. The boss discussed about. This is a very easy one because I have given this concept in my compilation. The boss discussed the new project with his team. तो ये तो wrong है. Okay? ये नहीं हो सकता है. I mean discuss के साथ about लगता ही नहीं है. We will discuss this tomorrow. Fine. So the boss discussed the new project with his team. B नहीं हो सकता है. B वाला eliminate कर दो. हमारे कौन से बचे थे? ये तो पहले eliminate हो चुके थे, right? B नहीं हो सकता. So this is out. We are left with A, D, F or C, E, F. Correct. Now let's go down and check. The dean asked for, अच्छा इसमें देखते हैं. The dean asked for additional funding. कोई चीज मांगोगे आप, कोई चीज के लिए request करोगे, तो it will be for, no? The dean asked his people to go and do the work. तब asked लगेगा सिर्फ, no for. But उसने कोई चीज मांगी, तो the dean asked for additional funding. This is correct, right? So A होना चाहिए आपके आंसर में. So accordingly, this is your answer. What about the other two? I'll tell you. Radhika is good at data interpretation. Neil is transitioning into a new phase of life. This is correct, right? We got A, D, F. So A is correct. ठीक है? About यहाँ गलत था. Good at ये गलत था. Transitioning into, changing into, metamorphosing into ये correct है. Rajat emphasized on the need for consistency. अब ये मेरे लिए भी confusing था. Because in some places we use emphasize on, in some places we use emphasize. But as I said, that has its own whims and fancies when it comes to grammar. Don't sweat over these points, you know, आसान वाला उठा लो. So this is wrong and superior to, ये वाला आपका this is correct. So A, D and F is your answer. This. Hope this is clear. Thank you. Hey guys, we have got a fill in the blank question here. So blank भी नहीं है यहाँ पे, there are 4 blanks. We can also call this a closed paragraph. ठीक है, close की यहाँ spelling होती है close ऐसा. What is a closed para? A para in which there are 4 to 5 blanks and then you have to pick the right fit. Now, in XAT 2025 we were lucky. The paragraph gave you like easy words. Sometimes the words are very difficult, so I mean a lot depends on your vocabulary. So let's check this one out. और इस बार एक ही था, one question of this type. Otherwise, most of the times they have given like 2 questions of this type. When each कैसा generation grows up, what is the first step? The first step is to read the paragraph and understand the flow. Okay. Now we'll do that together. When each generation grows up, कैसा generation? Okay. It looks down on the next. Okay. So this is generation 1. This is generation 2. As if we all forget what it feels like to be, it looks down. This one looks down on the next, as if we all forget what it feels like to be. So if we have grown up, so we will look down, we'll look on the next generation. And what could we have forgotten? What it feels like to be old or young. When most dash think about their own youthful indiscretions, when most what? People हो सकता है, right? When most people, when most persons They do so with a wink and a laugh. अरे वो ऐसा. But when the same people think about those in today's generation doing something similar, so basically यहाँ पे पेरेंट्स की बात हो रही है ना. पेरेंट्स ने अपने टाइम में बहुत नाटक किए होंगे, क्लास छोड़ छोड़ के भागे होंगे, सब कुछ बदमाशियां की होंगी उन्होंने. बट नाउ व्हेन दे टॉक टू देयर चिल्ड्रन, व्हेन दे स्पीक अबाउट देयर प्रॉब्लम्स, अबाउट देयर एस्केपेड्स, है ना, them about the children playing truant from school or college, the parents are like, oh no, they dash sound the alarm about a decline in morality in the next generation. They suddenly become moral police. No, something is wrong, you guys are kind of degenerating. This is what parents say, right? So we got the flow. Now when each kaisa generation, preceding, young, successive, succeeding, old, when each old generation कैसे grow up करेगा, you're getting my point, eliminate कर दो. When each old generation और grow up करके कहाँ जाएगा, है ना. So each succeeding, successive, young, preceding. Okay, देखते हैं अभी इसको. Okay, it looks down on the next as if we all forget what it feels like to be succeeding, young, next, old. चलो मान लेते हैं इसमें भी आपको confusion है. When most, the third blank, this should be easy. When most folks, कौन बोलता है when most folks? When most seniors, when most adults, when most people. When most seniors क्या होता है? Senior word use किया जाता है when there is something in context. Senior, junior. यहाँ बात की जा रही है when most लोग, ज्यादातर लोग, when most parents think, या parents आ सकता है, when most parents think about their own youthful indiscretions, or when most teachers think about their, है ना, ऐसा. So when most seniors out, adults yes, people yes, right? When most adults, when most people. So I'm left with this and this. Now when most people think about their own youthful indiscretions, they do so with a wink and laugh. But when the same people think about this, they dash sound the alarm. What do? They cautiously, अच्छा ये दोनों ही तो बच गए. They hypocritically, they naturally. How can it be naturally? The paragraph is giving you hypocrisy. खुद कर लिया उन्होंने, लेकिन अब उनको अपने younger generation के करने से problem हो रही है. So the answer is this. Now let's fit all the words in the respective blanks. When each successive generation grows up, आगे का generation grow up हो गया, right? It looks down on the next, अगला जो आने वाला है, right? As if we all forget what it feels like to be young. हम भूल गए, अरे हम भी तो young थे कभी, हमने भी तो ये हरकतें की थी, है ना. And then when most people think about blah blah blah. I hope this is clear. I hope you have understood why it cannot be succeeding and why successive. When each succeeding generation, succeeding dynasties होती हैं, successive generation, generally that phrase is used. Okay, so this is good and justified as your answer. Hope clear, guys. Thank you. Hey guys, how's life? So this is PJ. We've got two PJs, and after cat's torture, where PJs were always theta, this is going to look like the silver, the gold lining. So अभी मैं आपको इसमें क्या बताना चाह रही हूँ. देखो PJs, you're going to get two PJs. ये हर साल आता है. There will be options. Okay, you've got a lot of time, so you can give 2 to 3 minutes to every PJ. अब ऐसा नहीं होता है कि हाँ 100% guaranteed है कि both the PJs will be good, but more often than not the PJs are good. अभी जैसे इसमें चलते हैं, देखते हैं कैसे इसको हैंडल करना है, ठीक है. So whatever that might be on Europa, far from the sun and beneath kilometers of ice, as the first step I'm going to just check quickly. E, B, C, D, A. Oh, काफी smart है ये. They have used every sentence in the options as the starting sentence, right? Now whatever that might be on Europa. So The final ingredient for a habitable world is a source of energy for life to exploit. And on Earth, okay, I'm going to pick this now. Their inhabitants. And then that is a bit of a problem. What is a bit of a problem? Now, you need to have a little bit of para flow and main idea ka gyan. Whatever that might be on Europa, Europa is not our Earth, correct? And Europa is not Europe, right? So whatever that might be on Europa, far from the sun and beneath kilometers of ice, it will not be sunlight. Do you see this language? पर वो जो भी होगा, सूरज तो नहीं होगा. जो भी होगा, sunlight तो नहीं होगा, right? So after this, you can put that is a bit of a problem, right? Because this sounds like a problem. Whatever it might be, far from the sun and this, it will not be sunlight. Sunshine to nahi mil raha hai. That is going to be a bit of a problem. And then here, the final ingredient for a habitable world is a source of energy for life to exploit. On Earth, so we know very well that there is one sentence, C, that talks about Earth. There is one sentence, two sentences, A and E, that talk about life on Europa. So we can place them like this. Okay, I put my divider over here. I put A and E this side, C this side. It can be C pehle, A, E baad mein. Abhi dekhte hain. Their inhabitants do not benefit from sunlight directly. You cannot connect this with one. This says do not benefit from sunlight directly, but their metabolisms are powered by chemicals created in the photosynthesizing by sunlight, not directly but indirectly. So it can't be Europa because वहाँ तो sun है ही नहीं. So do you see here? Ocean depths discovered in the 80s and which helped the idea of life on Europa gain a foothold. This can be connected with this benefit. They do not benefit directly, right? So I can put C and D together. Right? So ये structure तो आ गया A, E, C, D. Now just on the basis of pairs you can look and get something. Like A, E जब आया मेरा A, E यहाँ है और कहीं भी नहीं है. That's it. You get your answer. C, D यहाँ नहीं है, यहाँ है, यहाँ नहीं है, यहाँ नहीं है, यहाँ नहीं है. Here it's D, C. No, C, D. So it's that easy. Yes. Okay, we are done with this. With this, it's justified. A, B, A, E, C, D. He starts by talking about the final ingredient for a habitable world, source of energy for life to exploit, and then he talks about two places, Earth and then Europa, or Europa and then Earth. Right? So he starts with Europa. Whatever that might be, is a source of energy. ये देख रहे हो, is a source of energy. कोई तो एनर्जी का सोर्स चाहिए. अरे यूरोपा पे कोई भी वो होगा, कुछ भी होगा, सनलाइट तो नहीं हो सकता है. Got it? That's the tone. Hey guys, we are going to do critical reasoning. You know very well that in XAT we get critical reasoning short paragraphs. What do I mean when I say critical reasoning? It can be inference, it can be conclusion. It can be strengthen the argument, weaken the argument. It can even be an assumption. Lucky for you, this time there were no assumptions. All right. So, what does this question say? It simply asks you for inference. Now, inference has to be 100% true according to the data given to you. What do I mean by that? Let's read the para. Employees complaining about mundane tasks are often ignored. Now, employees feel, that something is pretty boring. A feeling of ennui sets in, so they complain. But then the bosses say, oh, इनका तो काम ही है gruntle करते रहना, छोड़ दो इनको, ignore करो. There is a listlessness that settles around them. Listlessness is what? They feel restless about it. Ennui, as I said, E-N-N-U-I, right? That settles around them. Around whom? Employees who complain about this. Till now, he has not talked about those employees being very good employees or bad employees. We don't know. He just says that they get fed up of the mundane tasks. A bored employee may continue to produce good results. Now let's say I'm a bored employee, but I continue to produce good results. The bosses think, why is she grumbling? She is anyway producing good results. But the bosses do not realize that maybe that task is so repetitive that the person, this particular educator or this particular employee is able to get things right every time, maybe because of the repetitiveness of the task. So that doesn't actually mean that the employee is pretty good, right? So in the paragraph, the author doesn't talk at all about quality, about good or bad. You see here, also because the tasks are repetitive and the outcomes are expected. So he talks about good results, right? So let's go down and see. Good performance makes organizations overlook their employees' state of mind. Okay, good performance is happening. So the organizations, the bosses overlook, they neglect, they ignore, not neglect, they ignore and they say, "Arey chodo, inki aadat hai." Right? So this is good. A bored employee must be a bad performer for the organization to take notice. A bored employee, right, must be a bad performer. How do you know? There is no discussion of bad performer as such. So this is eliminated. Bad performer for the organization to take notice. No. Here he says, since they are producing good results, the organization neglects them, ignores them. But maybe that good result is coming because repetitive है task. That doesn't tell us anything about the performer being bad or good. Right? So this is out. Boredom is a serious problem that needs immediate attention. Now this is external knowledge if you think this is the answer. That needs immediate attention. The paragraph doesn't even say that it needs attention. Forget immediate. So this is eliminated. Mundane tasks create listlessness around good performers. Again, mundane tasks, correct. Create listlessness, correct. Around whom? Good performers. How do we know that these performers are good? They are able to produce good results, but we don't know if they are good performers or not. Maybe those results are happening as a result of some other thing. Right? So this is eliminated. I'm left with A and E. Listlessness settles around good performers who are bored. Again, listlessness hoti hai. But how do you know from the para it settles around good performers or bad performers? Maybe it's a very neutral kind of performer. Maybe it's a good performer and he is giving good results because the task is repetitive. Maybe he's a bad performer, yet he is giving good results because the task is repetitive. That is what the para says. So good performer, bad performer, we cannot be sure. This is good performance. That means good results. So good performance is happening, but it can be because of any other reason, right? So listlessness settles around good performers who are bored. Again, there's one more problem here. He says in the paragraph, performers who are bored, I'll show here, performers who are bored have listlessness settle around them. You cannot take it from this side and say listlessness settles around good performers who are bored. So again, यहाँ एक तो वो good या bad की problem है. दूसरे, you cannot take it from this side and infer this listlessness settles around this. No. It has to be in a proper sequence. Clear? So A is justified. Good performance makes organizations. Now, you must be wondering इसमें inference क्या है? दिया तो है ऊपर. Guys, inference is just a rephrased version of a sentence given there. So good performance, ये good results. Rephrase कर दिया, right? Organizations, okay. Employees बोला है तो organization उससे आ गया, right? Overlook their employees, overlook, ignore दे दिया, right? State of mind, okay. State of mind is listlessness, bored, right? Also this, okay. Mundane. So this is state of mind. So option A is giving you what is written there in the passage, but in a rephrased way. That is why this is a good inference. Hope this is clear. Now, next. No man knows how bad he is till he has tried very hard to be good. Okay. That means आपको बुराई का पता कैसे चलेगा? till he has tried very hard to be good. या आपको अच्छाई का कैसे पता चलेगा? If you are like too sheltered, how will you know what bad is? Or if you have been totally bad, how will you know what good is? So he's saying you have to come out of your comfort zone. No man knows how bad he is unless he has tried very hard to be good. Then I'll know the difference between bad and good. वो कहते हैं ना कि something, खुशी का अंदाजा लगाने के लिए पहले आपको गम झेलना पड़ेगा, वरना आपको क्या पता खुशी किसे कहते हैं. Right. A silly idea is current that good people do not know what temptation means. There are some people, or there is this popular notion that says good people do not know what temptation means. Let's say I'm a good person. वैसे तो हूँ नहीं, लेकिन फिर भी good people do not know what temptation means. Author calls it silly. This is an obvious lie. Only those who try to resist temptation. So what he's trying to say is, लोग बेवकूफ है, लोग कह रहे हैं कि हाँ, if I'm good, I don't know what temptation is. अरे तुम क्या जानो रमेश बाबू, मैंने कितने बड़े बड़े temptations को resist किया है, अपने आप को रोका है, तब तो जाके आज मैं अपने आप को good कहती हूँ. This is what he's trying to say, right? So this is an obvious lie. Only those who try to resist temptation know how strong the temptation is and how difficult it is to resist such a temptation. After all, you find out the strength of the German army by fighting against it. How will you know the intensity of the tufan if you're sitting on the shore? You have to go all out in the sea in order to understand the intensity of the storm. Hurricane Katia and all जो भी, पहले जाओ वहां जाके पता चलेगा. So you cannot find out the strength of the German army without fighting. You have to go all out in the battlefield, fight against it, and then you'll understand. Okay? Not by giving in. You find out the strength of a wind by trying to walk against it, not by lying down. A man who gives in to temptation, after 5 minutes, दे दिया उसने, चलो छोड़ो मैं कर ही लेता हूँ, चोरी करनी है मुझे कुछ, I give in to that temptation, does not know what it would have been like an hour later. So he did not try to resist it. So only when he tries to resist a very strong temptation does he become good. That is why bad people in one sense know very little about badness and goodness. उन्हें कुछ पता नहीं है. They have lived a sheltered life by always giving in. Right. Now, let's go down. Concluded. Concluded is again a form of inference. You have to take something that is like 100% true. Unless we are put to test for our beliefs, we do not know what our true beliefs are. You may think the para is not talking about beliefs. But then, if you say temptation and good and bad and strength, don't you think those are beliefs? So keep this. Okay? To claim to know anything, we must apply it in a situation and then judge ourselves. To claim to know anything. Even in that, process of elimination works. So to claim to know anything is a red flag. Most of the population, hasty generalization. Where does the para say? Most of the population does not know. Right? Eliminated. To claim to be good people, we should know what temptation means. I'll keep this and this. How we label ourselves depends entirely on how much we have fought for that label. Completely, totally, utterly. So this is again extreme, eliminated. I'm left with A and D. Let's read A and D. Let's look for the difference between the two. Unless we are put to test for our beliefs, test. Here, bad people, very little about this. They have lived a sheltered life. Unless you put it to test, unless you resist temptation, you don't know how strong it is. You cannot say whether you're good or bad. So it is talking about test. Why not D? To claim to be good people, we should know what temptation means. This is not wrong as per the paragraph. But then best concluded, that means overall, what is the most balanced one? So I won't say anything is wrong with D. To claim to be good people, we should know what temptation means. Yes, we have to battle that temptation. So we should know halka ho gaya. He has to say we should know how to battle a temptation, then we would be able to call ourselves good. You get it? So this is thoda sa halka, eliminated, and this is your answer. Unless we are put to test, unless we are put to test means unless we face the temptation, we do not know. And beliefs में ये सारी चीजें आती हैं. Right? So A is very much justified. 3 तो वैसे उखड़ गए थे, 2 बच गए थे. Right? Next one. Now, the treaty tests of a budget deficit no bigger than 3%. The treaty. Which treaty? That Belgium also had a public debt above 1 minute, guys. That Belgium also had a public debt above 100% of GDP helped, okay. Into the uncompromising environment came the first of a series of external shocks, okay. But let's pick this. When it became clear in 97. Now, here it can also be something like chronology. I can see here 97 and 99 and all, okay. But when it became clear that Spain was determined Romano Prodi, all right. So just by checking the options, okay, Prodi, then Italian, all right, fine. Must be there too, right? So he says here, but when it became clear in 97 that Spain was determined to join from the start. What do you need before this? You can put something like, but when it became clear in 97 that Spain was determined to join from the start, Romano Prodi decided that Italy must be there too. ये एक दूसरे से वो कर रहे हैं. Spain said that it's going to be there. So Italy का Prime Minister said Italy also should be there. Both are countries, है ना? तो Spain रह सकता तो Italy क्यों नहीं? So before this sentence, we are going to talk about a sentence that says इसको membership नहीं मिला, इसको मिला, something of that sort. So here, the treaty tests of a budget deficit no bigger than this and a public debt converging towards this seemed impossible for Italy to pass by 1999. Right? So it seemed impossible for Italy to pass. But when they saw that Spain was determined, Italian Prime Minister said that Italy must be there too. So we get A and D as a neat pair. AD no, AD no, AD no, AD no. Yes. What more can you pick from this paragraph? Okay. So here we get it. Answer kya hai iska? CEADB. So let's start with this. Into the uncompromising environment came the first of a series of external shocks. One of the earliest was the euro in 1999. Germany had more or less designed this treaty's convergence to keep out of So यहाँ पे ये ना ये यूरो वाला को अलग हटा करके ये है Germany had designed something to keep the indebted Italy out of it, right? तो ये आपका ये indebted Italy out of it, and then the treaty. Which treaty? Maastricht's treaty. So you can also come up with E and A. E and A not here, it's here, not here, it's here. So EA के हिसाब से there are 3, है ना? ये. But the best one is this because here you get EA and then AD. AD is a very nice pair because it says ये इटली के लिए impossible था. लेकिन जब ऐसा हुआ, अब यहाँ पे chronology मत follow करना. See, it's not necessary that all the techniques of PJ have to follow. So यहाँ पे chronology नहीं जा रहा है because this is taking you into flashback. Alright, so here your answer is E and it is pretty justified. Hope it's clear, guys. Thank you. Next, there is a cartoon. ऐसा भी आ सकता है ना? आदमी है, इसमें कुत्ता है. So, observe the cartoon below carefully and answer the question. What is it saying? Cartoon by Tom Toro, originally published. उससे हमें कोई मतलब नहीं, छोड़ दो उसको, कहाँ publish हुआ, क्या हुआ. Which of the following best explains the underlying message depicted in the cartoon? We need to go and read the blurbs, the dialogue blurbs, right? So the man says, I love how he finds joy in the simple things. Go, Tommy, go. He throws a stick and then he says, go Tommy, go. And repeatedly he throws the stick and Tommy has to keep running after it. So the man says, I love how he finds joy in simple things. खुश है ये मेरा कुत्ता. Kutta, on the other hand, is saying the emotional burden of alleviating his depression is crushing me. Means I'm his dog, I'm loyal to him. It is my responsibility, it is my duty to see to it that his depression is mitigated. And because of that, I have to go out on a limb, I have to keep doing these silly things, and that is actually crushing me. So the dog may not be very happy about what is happening, but just because he is loyal to his master, he has to do certain things. Right? Love is about caring for others even if it wears you out. Love is about caring for others. I'll keep it. Wears you out. Depression is crushing me. I'll keep this. Our sense of identity is based on how others interpret us. Identity. The dog is not bothered about his sense of identity or something. It's just some loyalty, some pyar for the owner that is crushing him. Okay, so this is eliminated. Our interpretation of others' reality is mostly arbitrary. Red flag eliminated. Our sense of duty for others can overwhelm our sense of self. Duty for others, correct. Overwhelm our sense of self. The dog is not worried about his self or his ego or anything. No. Sense of self वही हो जाता है. You are talking about somebody's ego, somebody's pride, somebody's different thought. The dog is not worried about that. It's just that he's getting tired about it. So this is eliminated. जैसे ये था ना identity, वैसे ही self. Our understanding of others based on our beliefs may not be true, so I'm left with this and this, A and E. The difference between the two, love. This is talking about love, caring for others. थक गए तो भी. Our understanding of others based on our beliefs. The paragraphs, not the paragraph, the picture is clearly showing how the man is thinking something different. He understands the dog's willingness to go and fetch it as his what? As his activeness or as his enthusiasm. So the man is not able to perceive things the right way. This is totally about his perception, whereas the dog is actually kind of getting burdened. So between this and this is more bhari. This says understanding of others based on what? Our beliefs. My belief is that he is a kutta, and no matter what, my dog cannot get fed up. This is my belief of my dog, my belief about him, and that is what is limiting my understanding about him, and it may not be true. Again, there is a very balanced word. May not be true. So this is justified as your answer. Hope clear. The last one in this series. The lovely thing about the unsayable is that it is unsaid. Lovely thing about the unsayable. As soon as it is said, बोलना जरूरी नहीं है. It is sayable and loses all its mystery and ambiguity. Art exists. Now, after talking about sayable and unsayable and something, he comes to art. Art exists so that the unsayable can be said without something. We cloud it in secrecy and obfuscation. The mind is free to roam and all things can be imagined under the cover of darkness. How nice that is. The unsayable. He is simply worried, not worried, he's simply concerned, about things that are not said. And he enjoys it. He says there is that mystery, there is that obfuscation, the secrecy. How tired we are of having things explained. Itna mat bolo, bolne ki zarurat hi nahi hai. Having things said. How nice it is when people just shut up. Right? Art echoes the language that is unintelligible. Unintelligible gives you a wrong connotation. Slightly negative. Art exists. Okay, he's just talking about sayable and unsayable. Some things that are said and some things that are not said. अब ये कह रहा है language that is unintelligible. Unintelligible is something that we are not able to decipher. We are not able to understand. Incoherent types. Right? So that gives it a slightly negative meaning, so eliminated. Any piece of art Again, red flag eliminated. Art expresses what humans cannot communicate in words. Talks about communication looks balanced to me, I'll keep it. Explaining an art metamorphoses. Does the para talk about any change happening? Anything metamorphosing into something else? No way. Art unfolds the mystery of human tongues. Now between C and E, don't you think this becomes too literal? Unfolds the mystery. Mystery is good. Of what? Human tongues. No. Human language, human communication. That would be better. So this gets eliminated and this is your answer. Art expresses what? Exists so that the unsayable can be said. Right? So art expresses what humans cannot communicate in words. Always look for something that has balanced words. Hope this is clear, guys. We are done with all the 4 critical reasoning questions, the individual paragraphs that appeared in XAT 2025. Thank you. Hey everyone, we are going to solve an RC, the first RC passage from your XAT 2025 paper. Now, those of you who have studied CAT with me would know that I simply say do not read the entire passage. You can skip because in a CAT passage, there are 5 to 6 paragraphs. You can get the main idea from the first and last para, and then just by reading the first line of every other para, you can understand the flow. But when it comes to XAT, I change my stance completely. It's like doing a 180-degree flip. Read the passage properly, completely, focus more so on the examples. In CAT, I say examples can be ignored. Examples like, why is the example being given? You can just read that. But as such, the entire example, you can just kind of skim. Here, I say no. Read the examples. If there is some data here, you can read that a little bit. Okay. So in XAT, you have a lot of time at your disposal. Give 3 minutes to a passage reading. Once you understand it properly, you will be able to solve at least 2 out of 3 questions effortlessly. अभी देखते हैं कैसे. चलिए. So, this passage says something about rich and all. है ना? क्या है ये? No one argues that the rich should be rich because they were born to wealthy parents. Born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Okay, so people do not say this. Critics of inequality may complain that those who would abolish inheritance taxes are implicitly endorsing hereditary privilege. What is he saying? What does he mean? No one argues that the rich should be rich because they were born to wealthy parents. Okay? Means people are against inheritance. People are against property coming down as kind of, just because your family, your parents were rich, your grandparents were rich. Reminds me of Saif Ali Khan. Critics of inequality. So inequality is something that is there. It's a systemic problem. And almost every other RC passage says something, like the difference between the rich and the poor. The rich keep getting richer, the poor keep getting poorer as are types. So critics of inequality may complain that those who would abolish inheritance taxes are implicitly endorsing hereditary privilege. But no one defends hereditary privilege outright or disputes the principle that careers should be open to talents. Most of our debates about access to jobs, education and public office proceed from the premise of equal opportunity. It's important for you to read these lines and understand who the critics are, what the author is saying, right? So, most of our debates about access to jobs, education and public office proceed from what? Equal opportunity. We don't go back to the background and kind of start from there. We talk about equal opportunities and then argue. Our disagreements are less about the principle itself than about what it requires. So, this is important. Our arguments are more about what it requires. For example, critics of affirmative action in hiring and college admissions argue that such policies are inconsistent with equality of opportunity because they judge applicants on factors other than merit. What are they saying? Because they judge applicants on factors other than merit. Merit, had it been on merit, people would have gotten equal opportunities. But that's what they are saying. They are arguing. They judge applicants on factors besides merit to others other than merit actually. So merit nahi kiya ja raha hai count. Okay, defenders of affirmative action reply that such policies are necessary to make equality of opportunity a reality. Something अब बीच में थोड़ा सा skim कर रही हूँ मैं. At the level of political rhetoric. Okay, meritocracy. Now, meritocracy is a very commonly used term these days. Meritocracy is what? Meritocracy means everybody is judged objectively on the basis of the numbers that they bring. Even doctors, the number of operations, the number of surgeries they do, the number of patients they treat, the amount they bill, the doctors are judged on that basis. So meritocracy is like, जो सबसे ज़्यादा लेके आएगा बिल, वो सबसे अच्छा, सबसे बड़ा डॉक्टर है, has won the day. So it's a very common problem. In democracies throughout the world, politicians of the center left and center right claim what? That their policies are the ones that will enable all citizens, whatever their race, gender or class, to compete on equal terms and to rise as far as their efforts, talents will take them. Politicians argue this. If there's a question related to politicians, I'll come here. If there's a question related to defenders of affirmative, I'll go there. If there's a question related to meritocracy and how it has won the day, I'll come here. Right? And then here. So talents will take them. When people complain about meritocracy, the complaint is usually not about the ideal, but about our failure to live up to it. And there's a colon there. That means he's explaining it. The wealthy. Okay. So about our failure to live up to it. How do we fail to live up to it? The wealthy and powerful have rigged the system. Elite classes, the powerful, rigged the system, tampered with the system to perpetuate their privilege. They don't want their privilege to be taken away. So tomorrow, if everything is done on the basis of merit, I won't continue with my power, right? It will be taken away from me. So he says here, okay, failure rigged the system to perpetuate their privilege. The professional classes have figured out how to pass their advantages on to their children. The professional classes, the people who work, converting the meritocracy into a hereditary aristocracy. You get it? So let's say you are the professional class, you know how to pass on the advantage to your children, and then again it becomes kind of, it goes down. So it's a legacy that you're passing down, and then again it becomes privilege, right? Again converting the meritocracy, pehle meritocracy tha, that becomes hereditary aristocracy. Colleges that claim to select students on merit give an edge to the sons and daughters of the wealthy and the well-connected. According to this complaint, meritocracy is a myth, a distant promise yet to be redeemed. So in this passage, the author says, meritocracy, people are crying all over the world over meritocracy, that meritocracy is something that is kind of becoming too objective and ignoring the subjective aspects and people's judgment and all. But meritocracy is a myth, a distant promise. Why? Because in the name of meritocracy, the privileged and the powerful are again turning meritocracy into aristocracy. This is what this portion said. Clear? Now, we'll take a look at the questions. This much of reading should take you something like what? 2.5 minutes? 2.5, 3 minutes? Chalega, that's good. But overall, whatever is being said, that is clear. So, question number 1. Based on the passage, which of the following inferences cannot be drawn? I am looking for true, 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 and 1 F. Right? Though the wealthy can pass their advantages to their children, wealth and privilege cannot undermine meritocracy. But वही तो हो रहा है लास्ट के 4 lines में. This is exactly what is given. Wealth and privilege. They pass their advantages to their children. You can simply go to this portion. Wealth and privilege are passed down to the children, and that is undermining meritocracy here. College is converting the meritocracy into a hereditary aristocracy. So this goes against what is given. This is definitely false. Let's check the others. वैसे तो if you get the false one, simply go ahead, mark the answer and move on. But right now, since I'm explaining it, I'll show you the other options. Equality of opportunity is widely accepted in principle, but there is disagreement about how to achieve it. That's the crux of the passage. People don't seem to agree on a particular thing, on how to achieve it. This is true. Meritocracy is seen by some as an unfulfilled promise, with the system still skewed in favor of the well-connected. Again goes with the crux. True. So remember I told you, if you are clear about the crux, like once you read it, once you get the crux, you will be able to solve the questions effortlessly. Hereditary privilege is not openly defended but can be perpetuated through policies like the abolition of inheritance taxes. Go back to inheritance taxes, okay, and you can just check there. Yeah. Critics of inequality may complain that those who would abolish are implicitly endorsing this. Right? So those who would abolish this are implicitly supporting this. है ना? Inheritance taxes means what? Saif Ali Khan, let's say, he inherited a palatial property, okay, from his grandmothers. Now he has to pay some inheritance tax, but this is what they're saying: if you abolish inheritance tax, you are supporting what? Hereditary privilege. है ना? So go to this again. Now, hereditary privilege is not openly defended, right, but can be perpetuated, can be promoted through policies like abolition. Exactly what he has said there. True. Meritocracy is a popular ideal in political rhetoric. Yes, rhetoric means what? A lot is said but not much is done. Promoted across the political spectrum, left, center right, सबका बोला है यहाँ पे. I'll show you this. देखो. Yeah. In democracies throughout the world, politicians of this claim that the policies are the ones that will enable all citizens, gender to compete on equal terms, and based on their talents, they're going to rise in life. But when people complain, the complaint is usually not about this, but we don't live up to it. We don't practice it. So it's there just in principle, right? Popular ideal. Political rhetoric promoted across the political spectrum. क्योंकि political across क्यों बोला है? यहाँ दिया है इसने. When people, इसके पहले यहाँ पर ठहरो, हाँ, throughout the world. ये. Hope it's clear, right? So this is eliminated because this is true, and this is the one that is like given there in the last 4 lines. ये. Cannot undermine? No, it is actually undermining it. It turns it into hereditary aristocracy. Done? Okay, so this was a very good question. Doable. Which of the following can be best concluded from the passage? Concluded bole to true. The others are F, 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 F. Conclusion is a type of inference, but conclusion has to be connected with the overall idea, the essence, the crux. Now we are looking for one. Okay? Everybody admires meritocracy until it is they or their children's career on the line. Everybody. Won't it be a red flag? I'll just mark it this way. Meritocracy is a utopian system that is difficult to implement as the wealthy rigs the system. Difficult to implement. Utopian system. Hello, thoda doubt hai, I'll still keep it. In an unequal society, any attempt to execute meritocracy perpetuates inequality. Any looks like a red flag. I'm still confused. Rakhte hain. I'm looking for one true. Meritocracy is accepted by everyone but not understood by anyone. ये देख रहे हो language? This is the first elimination actually. है ना? बहुत clear है इसका बकवास language. Meritocracy is desired by everybody but despised by those rejected by it. Desired by everybody, सबको चाहिए, but hated by those rejected by it. Meritocracy सबको चाहिए but hated by those जो reject हो गए. You know, मुझे ये मजा नहीं आ रहा है इसमें. So what am I going to do to make my work easier? I'm going to look at B and C. You can do this. I mean, red flag इसमें दिख रहा है मुझे, और ये, you know, everybody admires until it is they or their children's career on the line, okay, and then they hate meritocracy. What am I going to do? B and C को थोड़ा check करते हैं, right? Meritocracy is a utopian system that is difficult to implement as the wealthy rigs the system. So, is it a utopian system? Is it something that cannot be accomplished, that's totally impractical, difficult to implement दिया है, as the wealthy rigs the system? Wealthy rigs the system, तो चलो मैं मान लेती हूँ, यहाँ दिया हुआ है. I'll show you. Principle, okay. Debates, okay. Disagreements are less about this, okay. Critics of this, defenders of this. Political, all right. Race. When people complain, the complaint is not about this. The wealthy and powerful have rigged the system to perpetuate their privilege. The professional classes have figured out how to pass their advantages to their children. But where does it say that it's an impractical situation? Utopian. Nahi hai, right? So this Where is it? This one, yeah. This is eliminated. Now, if I eliminate the short ones, I know B is out and D is out. Okay, I'm left with A and E, about which I'm a little doubtful, so I'm going to check C. Okay, true होना चाहिए अगर C अच्छा है तो. In an unequal society, any attempt to execute meritocracy perpetuates inequality. Any attempt will bring in inequality. चल के देखते हैं. They were born to wealthy parents, okay, implicitly, but no one defends this. No one defends hereditary privilege outright. खुल के नहीं करते हैं. Or disputes the principle that careers should be open to talents. Right? Most of our debates about this often proceed from the premise of this. Less about this, for example, critics of this. So, because they judge applicants on factors other than merit. Reply that such policies are necessary to make equally, all right. Meritocracy has won the day. आपका ऑप्शन क्या कह रहा है? In an unequal society, any attempt to execute meritocracy actually promotes it. Now I'll show you exactly where this connects. ये देख लो आप. The wealthy and powerful have rigged the system. They have already created the echelons, the unequal tiers in the society to perpetuate their privilege, right? The professional classes have figured out how to pass on the advantages to their children, converting what into a this, right? So, the society is unequal because they have rigged the system. छेड़छाड़ कर लिया उन्होंने. If you try to promote meritocracy, what happens? You are actually inherently or you are actually subtly supporting this. Colleges that claim to this give an edge to this. According to this complaint, it's a myth, a distant promise yet to be redeemed. तो अब यहाँ देखो ये distant promise बोला है, utopian फिर भी नहीं था, है ना? Yet to be redeemed. So we go back to this. See, going with the crux is good. This is what we can conclude after reading the passage. So, conclusion क्या होता है? So, we can say that in an unequal society, अगर society आपकी already unequal है, क्यों unequal है? Because the wealthy have rigged the system. आप कोई भी attempt करोगे, चाहे वो education का करोगे, चाहे वो jobs का करोगे, to execute what? This, it only serves to promote inequality. This is good. So, C is your answer. Right? Hope this is clear, guys. Question number 3. Based on the passage, now after solving 1 and 2, dimag hil gaya, but we know every little bit from the passage. So this question should be like very easy. Based on the passage, which of the following will the defenders of affirmative action identify as the main problem in the implementation of this? Now, defenders of affirmative action. Affirmative is what? Positive action. What is the main problem, right, in the implementation of this? I'll just take you back to defenders of affirmative problem था, right? Affirmative action. चलो चल के यहाँ देखते हैं आपको. ये देखो. Our disagreements are less about this. Okay. Yeah. Defenders of affirmative action reply. What do they say? Such policies are necessary to make equality a reality for members of groups that have suffered discrimination or this. You want to read one preceding line? Critics of affirmative action in hiring and college admissions argue that such policies are inconsistent because they judge applicants on factors other than merit. क्या कहना चाह रहा है ये? Access to this proceed from the premise of equal opportunity. You see, this gives me the answer. Now I'll tell you what he's saying. Most of our debates about access to jobs, education and public office are based on the premise of equal opportunity. We tend to think everybody has equal backgrounds. Everybody has got equal access. Everybody has got, like, the other factors remain same. This is what we assume. So we say, acha, equal opportunity or ye wo. Our disagreements are less about this than about what it requires. Critics क्या बोलते हैं? In hiring this, they are inconsistent with equality of opportunity because they judge on factors other than merit. So critics come and say, no, you cannot do this because you are judging people on factors other than merit. So this is not equality. You are a hypocrite. This is what they say. अब यहाँ पे कह रहा defenders, let's say I'm the defender of affirmative action, मैं कहूँगी such policies are necessary because other people have had a head start. It's like, my people are kachwa, the tortoise, and the others have been the hare in the race. They have already had a head start. So, till we bring them all to the same level, we cannot talk about equal opportunities. You get it? So such policies are necessary to make this a reality for members of groups that have already suffered discrimination or disadvantage. There are groups, let's say some marginal communities, that have been neglected for years and years. Now suddenly you come up today and you say we are going to give equal opportunities to everybody in the country. What will happen to them? They have already suffered a lot, so they are like way behind. Now from this line, if you start giving equal opportunities, the other people are further ahead and those communities are way back. So till you bring them to the same level, how can you talk about equal opportunities? So your premise or your assumption that everybody is at an equal level is wrong. So don't talk of equal opportunities based on this premise. ये बोला है इसने. ठीक है? So I take you back to this. So defenders of affirmative action, what will they say? What is the main problem? Meritocratic system is based on structural bias. Okay? Meritocratic system intentionally favors the rich. सब सही लग रहा है मुझे तो, है ना? Meritocratic system supports those having hereditary privileges. Correct? Meritocratic system rewards individuals based on the outcome they produce. This can be eliminated. This is not what they said. Now, सब अच्छे लग रहे हैं because these are there in the passage, but not what these people would say. These people said background उनको हमेशा neglect का मिला. So that is E. Does not acknowledge the initial disadvantages in opportunities. For a long time, this, inconsistent because they judge applicants on this. So defenders say such policies are needed because necessary to make equality a reality for members that have suffered discrimination or disadvantage. They have always been marginalized. So you need to bring them to the same level, and that's why such policies are needed. At the level of principle, at least in political rhetoric, meritocracy has won the day. Done. So going back to this, does not acknowledge the initial disadvantages. This is how you're going to solve it. You're going to read that particular point. Uska 2 lines up, 2 lines down, uska zone bana karke. This is the point that they are saying, although these are also there in the passage. है ना? So this is good as your answer. Hope this is clear, guys. This passage का doability was good, but I would not have done probably all 3 questions. 2 कर लेती इसमें से और एक आध में अगर रहता ही है generally एक आध में confusion. ठीक है? चलो, thank you. I'll be back with more. Hello everyone. Get ready for the shock. We are going to do poem, that poem. Now, we know very well that we cannot escape it because every year there is one poem. In fact, some of the years they have given you 2 poems. So just be prepared. What does a poem depend on? It just depends on the main idea. Your brief understanding of what the author is trying to convey. मतलब वो जो कहते हैं ना कवि कहना क्या चाहता है. What kind of questions do you get in poems? Main idea, okay, tone, and specific line inference. यही 3 देते हैं. वो main idea तो लेके चलो आएगा ही आएगा. Alright, so let's take a look at this one. Taken from XAT 2025. क्या कह रहा है ये? Look how you turned on the ceiling fan. कुछ नहीं मिला इनको डिस्कस करने के लिए तो ceiling fan. Look how you turned on the ceiling fan. It's too high. See how it shakes and trembles. Okay. You walk into this room. So, okay, till here, he talks about the feature of the fan. You turned on the ceiling fan. It's too high. It shakes and trembles. Now, why is he using shake and tremble? Why isn't he just saying moving? Why isn't he saying rotating? Why isn't he saying this kind of giving you air? No, he says shakes and trembles. Something is intimidating the fan. The fan is supposed to be high up there, but something in the room is intimidating it. What is it? Let's read the next lines. You walk into this room with your hot ideas. Ooh, all right. And the ceiling fan has to work harder to cool down the room for us. Your ideas are so damn hot, or so damn weird, or so damn what? Innovative, or what? Something of that sort, that the fan has to work harder to cool the room. Generally, a fan cools the room, but then your presence, your ideas are so overpowering that the fan has to work extra hard. Okay, you walk into this room with your crazy eyes. Now look at this negative tone. Slightly negative. Crazy eyes. Not exactly बहुत तारीफ के काबिल हैं तुम्हारे ideas बेटा. And the ceiling fan wants to fly loose. So when I read these last 4 lines, I get a slightly negative vibe over there. Means, he's not praising the author, he's not praising the person who has ideas. He's saying, and the ceiling fan wants to fly loose. And you walk in with your crazy ideas. It dreams of becoming a spider lily. Okay, done. Now, question number, okay, don't pay attention to this. I had just picked these questions from the paper, so maybe in the paper it was 13. Which of the following statements best conveys the theme of the poem? Main idea, crux. The poem conveys a subtle art of argumentation and counter-argumentation. I don't like this. What is counter-argumentation? I say something, there is some idea there. I argue, and then I again bring a counter-argument. I again kind of oppose it, right? So I'm not doing that in the passage, in the para. The author simply says the fan is shaking, trembling, shaken up by your ideas, and the fan realizes that your ideas are crazy. So he's not arguing anything at all. This gets eliminated. The poem talks about inner conflict resolved by an attempt to restore balance. Resolved. I don't get those vibes there. Resolved by an attempt. Restore balance. No, he says crazy. Eliminated. The poem talks about a conflict between transformation and escapism. Is he transforming something? No, the fan dreams of becoming a spider lily. Is that transformation? Escapism. Is the person who walks into the room with his crazy ideas trying to be an escapist? I don't think so. So I'll keep this. The poem conveys fear and anxiety due to loss of stability. Slightly negative vibe. I'll keep this. The poem conveys quest for self during emotional turmoil. Now, quest for self is completely positive. You're looking for your own self. You're going to reflect on that, right? So, quest for self during emotional turmoil. Okay, this is good. Emotional turmoil, fine. But then, even if you're left with D and E, this one has a slightly more negative connotation to it. It conveys fear and anxiety. Loss of stability. So the fan is losing its stability. Okay, the overpowering ideas are there. Fear and anxiety. ये सारे tone है वहाँ पर. ठीक है? So this is better. Poem talks about a conflict between transformation. I can eliminate this easily because neither is the fan being transformative, nor is the boy or whoever there is being an escapist. ठीक है? तो ये हट गया. Eventually, I was left with D and E. When I was solving this, ये दोनों के बीच में emotional turmoil, loss of stability, दोनों similar types हैं. But here, fear and anxiety, and this one is quest for self. Go back and see, कहीं भी quest for self नहीं है. Author is just trying to be, ये जो बंदा है ना, ये, you walk into this room, hot ideas, that doesn't give me that feeling of looking for your own self or reflecting or introspecting or trying to discover. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Right, it's just that something is overwhelming, something is overpowering. So, ये है आपका कहाँ गया? Fear and anxiety due to the loss of stability. This is much better. This is how we will eliminate in this. Next one. Question 2. What does the author best mean when she says, see, I told you, one main idea and the other one will be one sentence taken and, what can be inferred from there? What does the author best mean when she says, you walk into this room with your hot ideas and the ceiling fan has to work harder? Even before I go down to the options, I understand this, that फैन जो है वो सख्ते में आ गया, फट गई फैन की कि भाई मैं हिलता हूं यहाँ पर, मैं काइंड ऑफ हवा करता हूं, कूल करता हूं, तुम ऐसे आ रहे हो ऐसे बकवास आइडियाज, ऐसे क्रेजी, ऐसे हॉट आइडियाज लेके, मैं क्या करूं, आई हैव टू वर्क हार्डर, टेंशन में आ गया फैन, है ना. That the person brings with him passionate intellectual and emotional energy, this is kind of positive out. That the person's presence creates palpable tension, पंखा टेंशन में आ गया, I'll keep this. That the person's hostile presence makes others feel unwelcomed. यार hostile तो कहीं से नहीं आया है. Hostile becomes extreme, so this is eliminated. That the person's presence develops self-doubt, I'll keep this and this. That the person's presence makes the ceiling fan lose its ability to handle intense energy, no. If I say, because my students are so good, I have to work harder, that doesn't mean I'm losing my ability or my students make me lose my ability. Right? So ये kind of extreme है. Eliminated. So I'm left with B and D. Now between B and D, let's look for the difference. Person's presence creates palpable tension in the room. Palpable is what? Something that can be understood, something that can be felt. There was palpable tension on their faces. That the person's presence develops self-doubt. पंखा अपने self-doubt कब होगा? ये lose its ability. पंखा is not having self-doubt. It's saying I'll have to work harder. तुम्हारे इसमें मैं ना और करना पड़ेगा मुझे. So this is much better. B is your answer. Hope you have understood the elimination. Thank you. I'll be back with more questions. Hey everyone. Hope life is treating you well. I don't know how this RC is going to treat you. So this talks about, one moment guys. Who is that? Oh, useless call. Alright, now, recently a team of social scientists, so you know the drill in XAT RC, we have to read it. There's no use going and checking the questions first and all like we used to do in CAT. In this, you have to read, you have to understand properly. So recently a team of social scientists launched an experiment to test that hypothesis. Which hypothesis? We don't know, but let's proceed. They recruited 1,500 entrepreneurs in West Africa. Okay? A mix of women and men in the 30s, 40s and 50s who were running small startups in manufacturing, service and commerce startups. They randomly assigned the founders to one of three groups. Okay? Founders, one of the three groups. One was a control group. You see this? What is a control group? In which you don't do any change. Okay, they went about their business as usual. You don't do anything to this control group. There is another group, application group, or like usko kya bolte hain, training groups. So you do some changes here, you test some things here, and then you compare the results with the control group. Okay. So one was a control group. They went about their business as usual. The other two were training groups. They spent a week learning new concepts, analyzing them in case studies of other entrepreneurs and applying them to their own startups through role play and reflection exercises. Okay, fair enough. What differed was whether the training focused on cognitive skills, mind, or character skills. Character, EQ, emotional quotient. In cognitive skills training, the founders took an accredited business course created by the IFC. They studied finance, accounting, theoretical, what they learned to solve challenges, okay. So here in this portion, they are showing you the difference between the two. What did they do in character skills? The founders attended a class designed by this. They studied proactivity, see all EQ, emotional quotient, qualities into action. Character skills training had a dramatic impact. After founders had spent merely 5 days working on these skills, their firm's profits grew. That was nearly triple the benefit of the thing that was done in cognitive. Finance and marketing knowledge might have equipped them to capitalize, but studying proactivity and discipline enabled them to generate opportunities. They could create opportunities. They learned to anticipate, expect, slightly forecast market changes rather than to react. Instead of just waiting and reacting to those changes, they could actually anticipate that this may happen. They developed more creative ideas and introduce. So I can skim this portion because I understand this is what they were able to do after learning the character skills. If there's a question related to that, I'll come here. Done. So we can skim a little bit here and there, but then that has to be like minimal. All right, now I'll take you over to the एक और पैरा है तो भूल ही गई थी मैं. Along with demonstrating that character skills can propel us to achieve this evidence reveals that it's never too late to build them. You can learn. Character doesn't set like plaster, retains its plasticity. Character is often confused. Okay, अभी इसको थोड़ा सा skim कर सकते हैं. Character doesn't necessarily mean, okay, the true test of character is whether you manage to stand by those values. Okay. When the deck is stacked against you, means when the going gets tough, you have to display those characteristics. If personality is how you respond on a typical day, character is how you show up on a hard day. Personality is not your destiny, tendency, character skills enable. वही सब चीजें. Wherever you are today, there's no reason why you can't grow. So you can learn this. Done. Which of the following views would the author best agree with? True? Right? Now, character skills risk abandoning your personality along with your instincts. Character skills की तो तारीफ की है उसने. It's not something bad that will make you abandon your personality. So going with the tone, eliminated. This is false. Our values and principles are always put to test by our personality. Always, I'll mark this with a red flag. Putting our values and principles to practice requires transcending our personality, going beyond our personality. Transcending is a good word, a balanced word. I'll keep this. Because principles clash with your personality, character is needed. Why is character needed? The reason is because principles clash with personality. चलो इसको भी रख लेते हैं. Our behavior is a function of our character, not our personality. Character, not personality. You can go and check behavior, function, character, personality. Right? And we can check these three. C, D, E. Now, if you go back and you start reading all over again, you'll waste time. So it's better to take one and check. I like this one the most. Transcend our personality, going beyond. So values and principles to practice. Okay. Go back now. So what do we see here? Personality and all, personal initiative. Practice putting those qualities into action. Dramatic impact and might have equipped, all right. React to them. Creative, resourceful. ठीक है. It should be here in this para. Character, personality and all. Character skills can propel us to achieve great things. This evidence reveals it's never too late to build them. So character skills are good. You can inculcate. Character doesn't set like plaster. It retains its plasticity. Often confused with personality. But they are not the same. Personality is your predisposition, your nature, your basic instincts, feel and act. Character is your capacity to prioritize over your instincts. Right? It's something above that. Knowing your principles doesn't necessarily mean you know how to practice them. I know my principles, I know my ethics, I know my beliefs, but it's not necessary that I know how to practice them, particularly under stress or when the going gets tough. It's easy to be proactive and determined, okay, the true test is, okay, against you. If personality is how you respond on a typical day, character is this. It's your tendency. Personality is your tendency. Character skills enable you to transcend that tendency. Got it? So go back to the question. Putting our values and principles to practice requires transcending our personality. This is indeed true. Clear? Why are these two eliminated? ये तो red flag था, ये तो eliminate हो गया था. Because principles clash with your personality, character is needed. Character is not needed for such a flimsy reason because this and this clash. No, character is needed to transcend these things, to put our principles to practice on a hard day. Our behavior is a function of our character, not our personality. Our behavior is only of our character, not personality. He says personality is also there, and personality आपका ये है. कहाँ गया? Personality is your predisposition, your behavior, right? So your behavior is a function of personality, not character. Exactly. First personality, and then you learn how to behave on a difficult day. That sets your character. So this, I went and checked this because of this nice word and I found it. Done. So C is your answer. Next. Which of the following can be best inferred from the passage? True. F, 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 F. Right, guys? Character skills can compensate for poor cognitive skills. You know what he says in this? Character skills काफी है. Even if you have poor cognitive skills, चलेगा, बस character skills होना जरूरी है. Definitely not. The author is talking about character skills being there besides the cognitive thing. But he doesn't say that you can manage without cognitive. भाड़ में गया cognitive. No. Character skills can be built only if one believes in them. I'll mark it with a red flag and we'll proceed. Cognitive skills, unlike character skills, are always reactive. Always red flag. Being aware of your character skills enables you to exercise them. I'll keep this. Sustainable success requires strong character skills. Nice word. Nice word. Don't you think this is the crux of the passage? Sustainable success, something that continues, something that is there in the long run, it requires strong character skills. Transcend, traits, okay. There's no reason why you can't grow this, okay. Doesn't set like plaster, it retains its plasticity, okay. They are not the same. And then they develop more creative ideas and introduced when they encountered instead of giving up. यहाँ और है एक चीज बता रही हूँ. But studying proactivity and discipline enable them to generate opportunities. Okay. They learn to anticipate rather than react. More creative ideas, introduce more new products, encountered financial this. So this kind of, helped them sustain. It was something that was beneficial to them in the long run. Right. So sustainable, as I said, जैसे पिछले वाले में आपने देखा transcend, nice magical word I picked. इसको आप hacks बोल लो, कुछ भी बोल लो, ठीक है? Sustainable success requires strong character skills. This is good. Now red flag वाले तो हम वैसे भी eliminate कर देंगे. D एक बार check करते हैं. Character skills can compensate? Definitely not. Cognitive अलग है, character अलग है. Being aware of your character skills enable you to exercise them. Being aware, just being aware, आप यहाँ देखो. Character is your capacity. Knowing your principles doesn't necessarily mean you know how to practice them. Right? When you face adversities, then you realize whether your character skills can be put to test or not. Just being aware of those doesn't necessarily mean that. So this is eliminated and this is your answer. एक चीज बताऊं. In most of the XAT questions I see A or E as the answer. So let's say things start going south and maybe one or two questions are like very difficult. Maybe you can just take a guess and play A or E. ऐसे ही कह रही हूँ मैं, just a thought. Question 3. Based on the passage, why would character skills help entrepreneurs more than cognitive skills? Even before going down to the options, I know this connects with the last bit of the first para. When the experiment was successful and they found that character skills helped entrepreneurs in doing this. right? So let's check the options now. One can be poor in finance and quantitative but really good. He doesn't say that. This is like something similar to ye. Compensate for this. No, he doesn't say that. वो भी चाहिए finance and quantitative. देखो, finance and marketing knowledge might have equipped them to capitalize, right? So वो भी था. From here we cannot infer one can be poor and still be good in character skills, so he'll be a successful entrepreneur. No, cannot be inferred, right? Why would this help them more? Character skills enable you to generate opportunities rather than capitalize on existing ones. I'll keep this. Character skills are industry agnostic in application. Industry agnostic, they don't believe the industry trends. Agnostic उसी को बोलते हैं, you doubt the existence of God, है ना? So industry agnostic, they are not exactly according to the industry thing. No, it's not given there. Entrepreneurs are already aware of their business and are only missing character skills. I don't like the tone, so red flag mark kar do. I'm left with E and B. Character skills prepare you for an uncertain future. ये देख लो आप. Yeah. Might have this, but studying proactivity and discipline enable them to generate opportunities. They learned to anticipate market changes rather than react to them. Okay. When they encountered financial obstacles, instead of this, they were more resilient. So uncertain future goes with this. This is true. We are looking for why would this, right? Okay. Why not B? Enable you to generate opportunities rather than capitalize on existing ones. Okay, you know what? I don't have a problem with this. Generate opportunities is given there. Here. But the paragraph doesn't say you should not capitalize on the existing ones. You generate more, that's fine. But जो है existing, why would you neglect them? Why would you not capitalize on them? So this can be taken as faulty comparison, right? So this is eliminated and E is your answer. Elimination justified here. I hope all the explanations are clear. See you again. Hey guys, this looks like a dense passage to me, but I think the questions are pretty cool. The questions are on humans and rodents and all. चलिए देखते हैं क्या कह रहा है. This fluidity and situational dependence is uniquely human. Fluidity, situational dependence, uniquely human. No other species can do it. In other species, in-group, out-group distinctions reflect degrees of biological relatedness, or what evolutionary biologists call kin selection. Kin is what? Kunba. So क्या बोल गया है यहाँ ये? In other species, in-group, out-group distinctions, the differences, reflect what degrees of biological relatedness or what kin selection something. ठीक है? Like, how will you differentiate between this and that in a particular species? ये बात चल रही है. Rodents distinguish between a sibling, okay, a cousin, अब ये rodents की बात आ गई, and a stranger by smell. You see this? Sibling, cousin and a stranger, smell. Fixed genetically determined pheromonal, ये मैंने किसी passage में पढ़ा था, pheromones, pheromonal signatures and adapt their cooperation accordingly. Those murderous groups of chimps, another example, are largely made up of brothers or cousins who grew up together and predominantly harm outsiders. So these animals are they recognize their kin. Yeah. Kin selection, they do kin selection, right? The murderous groups of chimps, they are kind of hostile to outsiders. Even this rodents wale mein, they are saying a sibling, a cousin and a stranger by smell, pheromonal. Done? Then, humans are plenty capable of kin selective violence themselves. So here we know, immediately I get to understand that he's talking about kin selective violence means people who are not part of my kin, I can be violent to them. So he elucidates his point by giving examples of rodents and chimps. Now he says humans are also capable of this. Yet human group mentality is often utterly independent of such instinctual familial. Familial is related to family. Often utterly independent. Right? Okay. Most modern human societies rely instead. Okay. So they are like, they don't go exactly with these instinctual familial bonds. So what do? Instead on what? Cultural kin selection. Now what is that cultural kin selection? He will explain. So flow is pretty neat. है ना? A process allowing people to feel closely related to what are total strangers. Means you may not be connected, you may not be related to a particular person by birth. He may not be a cousin or a sibling. Still, he's part of your culture. So total strangers say we can connect. Often, this requires a highly active process of inculcation with its attendant rituals and vocabularies. Culture, rituals, vocabularies, we inculcate that. Consider military drills, producing bands of brothers, unrelated college freshmen becoming sorority sisters, or the bygone value of becoming immigrants into this. People may be unrelated, yet they come together, right? Because they are part of the same fabric. This malleable is something that can be beaten into shape like a thin metal, rather than genetically fixed, unlike the rodents and chimpanzees who identify their kin. Okay, so this malleable path of identity formation also drives people what? To adopt arbitrary markers that enable them to spot blah 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 blah. Hence the importance various communities attach to flags, dress, facial hair. The hipster beard, the turban, and the Make America Great Again hat all fulfill this role by sending strong signals. So basically, he's talking about culture kin, tribal belonging, etc. Very easy to understand passage with the help of these rodents, chimps, and humans. I'm surprised at Zat's passages. I mean, these days at least they are understandable. एक और पैरा है, but ये भी कोई बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किल नहीं है. Moreover, these cultural communities are arbitrary when compared to the relatively fixed logic of biological kin selection. These are arbitrary. Okay? Arbitrary means I decide, you decide. When compared to the relatively fixed logic, this has been passed down over the generations, it's fixed. No. Few things show this arbitrariness better than the experience. मतलब सबसे अच्छा कैसे पता चल रहा है? Experience of immigrant families, where the randomness of a visa lottery can radically reshuffle a child's education. There is something called visa lottery, and it can decide, it can reshuffle what? A child's education, career opportunities, and cultural inclinations. Predilection is inclination. आपको क्या पसंद है? Had my grandparents and father missed the train out of Moscow that they instead barely made, okay, they caught the train. But had they missed it out of Moscow, maybe I'd be a chain-smoking Russian academic rather than this American. So my grandparents barely, I mean, they did not miss it actually, they barely reached it, but they still migrated out of Russia. So today, I am a Birkenstock wearing American. Had they missed the train, I would have been a chain-smoking Russian academic. Okay? Rather than this, moved to tears by the heroism during this rather than blah blah blah. Scaled up from the level of individual family, our big picture group identities, national identities, cultural, okay. Done. This much is enough. I have understood everything clearly. Cultural compared to rodents and chimps and all, ये हो गया. ठीक है? Now, questions. Based on the passage, how are rodents and humans similar to each other? Similar चाहिए इनको. So, go back. तो difference बताया था इसने, similar किधर है? Uniquely human. In other species, in-group, out-group distinctions reflect degrees of biological relatedness. Okay? Or what evolutionary biologists call this. Alright? So, humans, अच्छा, ये है ना? Even they can do it themselves. Kin selective violence, right? In group, out group. मेरे group के हो, मेरे group के नहीं हो. Okay. Both rodents and humans divide the world between us and them. Correct? Rodents do it on the basis of family, biological bonds. Humans do it on the basis of culture. ये हमारा है, वो उनका है. Both rodents and humans can rein their instincts. Rein their instincts means control, harness their instincts. No. Eliminated. Right, ये तो है similarity, अभी हमने देखा. Both rodents and humans make their groups exclusive of brothers and cousins. Humans don't make it of brothers and cousins, only rodents do it. Right? गलत. Humans make it according to culture, according to tribe. Both rodents and humans are hostile towards outsiders. No. Humans may not be hostile towards outsiders because the author has given examples of immigrants and all. So rodents, yes, they are hostile towards outsiders. Both rodents and humans carry a genetically determined pheromonal. ये humans का थोड़े बोला है, तो rodents का बोला है. So out, this was truly an easy question. Right? Okay, next. Now, what does the author best mean when they say this fluidity and situational dependence is uniquely human? So, this fluidity and situational dependence, what is situational dependence? Based on the situation, based on what is happening now. Okay? This is uniquely human, others can't do this. Human skin selection is not based on instinctual while relating to strangers. He says they can mix with others too. That doesn't mean unka kin selection is not based on this. Acha. Anyway, he is asking you the meaning of this sentence. Fluidity and situational dependence is uniquely human. एक बार चल के देख लेते हैं फिर से. In other species, in group, right? In group, out group distinctions on what evolutionary, okay, kin selection. फिर यहाँ बोला है कि they themselves can do it, right? Fluidity and situational dependence means they can move and connect with others also. They can include people, exclude people depending on the situation. Right? So, human skin selection is not based on this. Fluidity कैसे connect हो रहा है? Humans in group, out group thinking is influenced by their space and time. Fluidity and situational. So, this is good. Humans use cognitive architecture to detect any potential cues. Bakwas. The implicit traits that humans associate with can change over time. But how does it connect with situational? D रख सकते हैं इसको B के साथ. Humans are uniquely progressive and ever evolving. This doesn't connect with fluidity and this, so out. Between B and D, B has better words obviously because it says space and time. In group, out group भी लाया है ना? This fluidity and situational dependence is uniquely human. So उनका in group, out group जो है compared to rodents, this is influenced by space and time. They are fluid, they can include others, unlike rodents who use pheromones to identify only their kin. And so between this and this, now the implicit traits that humans associate with can change over time. What about situation? So इसको eliminate करके we can keep this. So yeah, we are done with this and this one. What does the author best mean when they refer to the Battle of this and Pearl Harbor? वो मुझे लग रहा था कि इस पे एक क्वेश्चन होगा. देखो, Stalingrad is Russian. Pearl Harbor was आपका US का कांड. So go back and check quickly. I'd be a chain smoking this rather than this. अब मैं अमेरिका में हूँ. Moved to tears by the heroism during the Battle of Stalingrad. Okay. तब मैं वहाँ होता Russian उसमें. I would be moved to tears by the heroism during this rather than at Pearl Harbor. Okay. So now since I'm an American, I'm moved to tears because of Pearl Harbor wala bombing. Had I stayed in Russia, I would have done this. I would have cried over this. Okay, scaled up from the level of individual family histories, big picture, national identity, structure our lives and all. Okay. Now, what does he say here? Our identities and emotional attachments are subject to erratic interpretation. ये क्या है? Wait. Question बोला है, हाँ. So had I stayed there, I would have cried over that. That means wherever I whatever country I'm in, I would cry, I would be connected with that, right? ये बोला our big picture group identities, the national identities, cultural principles that structure our lives are just as arbitrary and subject to the vagaries of history. Subject to the vagaries of history means history के कुछ कांड जो होते हैं या कुछ जो भी whatever like milestones or whatever, they can change things. So our identities and emotional attachments are subject to erratic interpretation of history, not erratic interpretation. Vagaries of history means things that keep happening, idiosyncrasies of history. So this is distortion. Humans do not follow any specific logic when they develop association with a particular this. कितना बेकार सा टोन है इसका, right? Any specific logic, weird के type behave करते हैं, no, eliminated. Humans' relationship with any specific place depends upon their lineage and ancestry. No. Right now he's in America. So he says, had my grandparents missed the train or my parents missed the train, I would have been in Russia and I would have been shedding tears over Stalingrad, Battle of Stalingrad, instead of being in America and Pearl Harbor पे रोता हुआ, right? So interpretation कहाँ गया ये? Relationship depends on their lineage and ancestry, बिल्कुल भी नहीं. फिर तो ये होता कि even though I'm in America, I'm still crying over the Battle of Stalingrad. Why? Because my roots are there. So this is eliminated. It's between D and E. Humans' interpretation of specific events depends on the emotional association with them. That's what he says. मैं जहाँ हूँ उसके हिसाब से. And that connects with the overall argument that humans do the क्या था वो group in group out वाला thing based on culture and tribe. So this is good. Humans are capable of selective violence towards each other. This is all bakwas, right? Selective violence and non-selective violence is not discussed. So this is the best one. I mean, why has he given the examples of Stalingrad and Pearl Harbor? To assert his point that we have emotional connection with the place where we live. Done. So this is cool. Done. Oh, okay. All 3 questions done. Hope these are clear. I'll be back soon. Thank you. Hey everyone. Hope you all are doing fine. One moment. I need to. Yes. All right, guys. So we have got this RC, like another RC from XAT 2025. Let's see what this says. Work for many on the career track is greedy. Okay. Fair enough, it's greedy. The individual who puts in overtime, weekend time or evening time will earn a lot more. So much more that even on an hourly basis, the person is earning more. Everybody does that. The greediness of work. So this is what the author is discussing. Now, the greediness of work means that couples with children or other care responsibilities would gain by doing a bit of specialization. What is specialization? This specialization doesn't mean catapulting back to the world of leave it to beaver. Okay? You are not going back to the world of leave it to beaver. So what are you doing? Then what else is it? Women will still pursue demanding careers. But one member of the couple will be on call at home, ready to leave the office at a moment's notice. The person will have a position. Okay. That parent will not have to cancel an appearance at this. So what he's saying is the greediness of work encourages couples to take up like 2 different kinds of roles. One parent will be at home with flexible working hours or something, so that he doesn't have to miss the soccer practice of the kid for an M&A. The other parent, however, do you see this, will be on call at work and do just the opposite. He does the overtime. He works extra hours and gets the extra money home. The potential impact on promotion, advancement and earnings is obvious. The work of professionals and managers has always been greedy. Lawyers, okay, so यहाँ पे managers and professionals का example है, lawyers का है. Academics have always been judged for their cerebral output. दिमाग से related and are expected not to turn their brains off in the evenings. Very simple to understand, yes, very easy to understand passage. Most doctors and vets were once on call 24/7. The value of greedy jobs has greatly increased with rising income inequality, which has soared since the early 80s. Earnings at the very upper end of the income distribution have ballooned. The worker who jumps the highest gets an even bigger reward. Anyway, so the whole paragraph is talking about how people are greedy about doing overtime because it connects directly with the extra money that they get. And then he gives the example of parents, two parents. He talks about academicians, he talks about personal professionals and managers and lawyers, doctors, vets. ये सारे examples दिया. Whenever you're dealing with a XAT passage, please pay extra attention to the examples. Unlike a CAT passage where I used to say, please skim a little bit. All right. Now, this is the second paragraph, the third paragraph, and this is a huge one. So we can skim a little bit. All right. देखो कैसे. The jobs with the greatest demands for long hours and the least flexibility. Greatest demands for long hours, least flexibility have paid disproportionately more. While earnings, so basically what he's saying, he's talking about disproportionate income. Okay, employments have stagnated. Thus, positions that have been more difficult for women to enter in the first place, such as those in finance, are precisely the ones that have seen the greatest increases in income in the last several decades. It has ballooned. The private equity associate who sees the deal through from beginning to end. Private equity associate, somebody who's, this is connected to finance, right? उसका example दे रहा है. Who sees the deal through. He stays put from beginning to end, who did the difficult modeling, the difficult calculation, the difficult execution, and who went to every meeting and late night dinner will have maximum chance for a big bonus and this. Right? So he speaks about finance. Rising inequality in earnings may be one important reason why the gender pay gap among college graduates has remained flat in the last several decades. अब ये skim करो थोड़ा सा gender earnings gap, college, okay, 80s and 90s, then women have been swimming upstream. Swimming upstream is you are facing some difficulties, holding their own but going against a strong current of income inequality. We all know the gender gap in payments. Greedy work also means that couple equity has been and will continue to be jettisoned for increased family income. What does he mean? Greedy work also means that couple equity means both are equal. No. In the first para he said, the second para, one decides to stay home and keep flexible hours, the other goes to work and does overtime and gets very highly paid. So the promotions are connected to the other person. So don't talk about couple equity. Will continue to be jettisoned, thrown out for what, or sacrificed for increased family income. And when couple equity is thrown out of the window, gender equality generally goes with it. Right? Except among same-sex unions. Gender norms that we have inherited get reinforced in a host of ways. So we have inherited gender norms. We know that, okay, I mean, we have been told this thing that men are superior, women are inferior, men are supposed to go out and earn, they are supposed to get more promotions. So these gender norms get reinforced indirectly over here in a different way, right? In a host of ways to allot more of the child care responsibility to mothers and more of the family care to grown daughters. Very simple, right? But please make sure you read the entire passage carefully. Devote a complete 3 minutes to this, and only after that can you move on to the questions. Okay, this is that way. Now, I'll take you over to the questions. देखते हैं क्या क्या बोल रहा है. Which of the following cannot be inferred? So, 4 हैं जो inferred होंगे. 1 cannot be inferred. True, false. Okay, what does the other one say? Greedy work, ये भी true, false, कुछ ऐसा है. Summarizes the author's views. Okay. So, in this XAT set, unlike CAT, we do not select the questions and we do not think this way, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे. If you read the passage properly, you will be able to solve all the 3 questions. Very rarely does it happen that you won't be able to get 1 or 2 questions here and there. Okay. So, cannot be inferred, एक false ढूंढ रहे हैं, right? Many of those toiling hard on the career track are greedy. Women can be equally greedy as men, okay? The root of all problems in the world is greed. All problems. अब ये तो एक philosophical passage लग रहा है मुझे, मतलब philosophical point लग रहा है. सारी परेशानियों का जड़ लालच है. The passage talks specifically about work and greed related to work, right? So this looks a little weird to me. Flexibility in work may result in relatively lesser income. This is definitely true because यहाँ इसने बोला है managers has always been greedy. ठहरो उसके पहले जो parents वाला है ना, that parent will not have to cancel. यहाँ बोला है but one member ready to leave, so flexible, considerable flexibility, will not have to cancel a practice. The other parent, however, is on call. Potential impact on promotion, advancement and earnings is obvious, right? So based on this is definitely true, है ना? Jobs that extract the most out of the workforce also pay more. Maximum chance for a big bonus and a sought after promotion. This is what our author says. True. Right? We are left with these three. Now, women can be equally greedy as men. Many of those toiling hard on the career track are greedy. I remember greedy idhar baat ki thi isne. The individual who puts in overtime weekend will earn a lot more, okay. The greediness of work. Women will still pursue demanding careers, but one member will be on call. So he hasn't said specifically like only the man will be greedy or kuch aisa, hai na? The value of greedy jobs has greatly increased. Income inequality which has soared. Earnings, okay, have ballooned. The worker who jumps the highest gets this. Right? Now, again, he talks about greed somewhere here also. We are going to go and check. Now, positions have been more difficult for women to enter in the first place, right? Greatest increases in income in the last several decades, ye dekh lo. Positions that have been more difficult for women to enter in the first place in finance are precisely the ones that have seen the greatest increases. That means women have been greedy and they have pushed through, right? So, women can be equally greedy as men. This is true. Correct? It's between A and C. Many of those toiling hard on the career track are greedy. And this one, just imagine, the passage is talking about greed connected with work. And this one says the root of all problems in the world is greed. Sounds like something extremely philosophical. So this is false and this is your answer. Hope this is clear. This was an easy one. Question number 2. Now, which of the following about greedy work is correct? So we are looking for one correct. True. The others are false. Right? Now, with more women coming into the workforce, work itself is becoming greedier. Okay? Employees willing to sacrifice their leisure and time with families must be rewarded with higher pay. Okay? Organizations prefer only those who surrender their everything to the organization. Only those. This is definitely false. Greedy work is a result of greedy corporations who reward greedy people. Now there are two options in which I can see I can see wrong cause effect. एक तो A है, with more women coming into the workforce, work itself is becoming greedier. Means women are coming, that's the cause, so work is becoming greedier. No, it's the other way around. People are generally greedy. People want more work, more compensation, more bonus. That's why women are pushing through, and even in those difficult areas where they could not enter earlier, like something like finance, these days women are pushing through and getting higher pay over there. So this is the other way around. This is false. And here, option B, greedy work is a result of greedy corporations who reward greedy people. So corporations reward greedy people, so greedy work is going up. No, people are generally greedy and that's why the entire system is there like that, right? So this is kind of wrong cause effect, out. I'm left with B and E. Now what does E say? Work that requires more time investment and dedication tend to pay more and hence are sought after. Don't you think this is pretty general according to the passage? Requires more time investment and dedication. पूरे passage में यही बोला है. They get better paid. Potential impact on promotion, advancement and earnings is obvious. Always been greedy in लोगों का बोला इसने. Sword, okay. The worker who jumps the highest gets an ever bigger reward. And then even here he says, beginning difficult modeling, every meeting and late night dinner, maximum chance for a big bonus and sought after promotion. Everywhere he has said the same thing. So that requires more time and dedication, time investment and dedication. It will pay you more, and these are sought after, means people look for such jobs. So this is true. ठीक है? Willing to sacrifice the leisure and time with families must be rewarded. अच्छा हाँ, you must be wondering B क्यों eliminated है? Employees willing to sacrifice their leisure and time. ये देख रहे हो, must be rewarded. Is there a compulsion? Is there a rule that they must be rewarded with higher pay? No, he just says that the trend is like that. People try to get that kind of pay, but that doesn't mean they must be rewarded. So because of the language, this is out. I hope this is clear. Question number 3. Again, that was a doable question with a little bit of smartness. Based on the passage, which of the following summarizes the author's views? ठीक है? Greedy work is the single most important reason. Red flag, out. In heterosexual unions, women must pay a price to see their husbands rise to fame. Again, must. The first para says one person stays at home, the other one goes and takes the extra pay. He doesn't say that it's compulsorily that way, that women must stay at home and they have to pay a price to see their husbands rise to fame. No, definitely not. Then, as women, अच्छा इसका author का view में, हाँ, definitely wrong. As women try to fight against gender norms, greedy work is their most formidable enemy. Again, a red flag, false. Greedy work reinforces extant gender norms, leading, oh my god, this is so cool. That is giving you such great passages and great options, that is unbelievable. Greedy work reinforces, लाता है वापस, extant gender norms, the gender norms that are already existing. Extant is the opposite of extinct. So extant gender norms जो हैं, उनको reinforce करता है, leading to gender pay gap. Isn't this what he has said somewhere here? I'll show you. It may be the reason why the gender earnings gap for college graduates, okay, women have been swimming, holding. Greedy work also means that couple equity continue to be jettisoned. Couple equity is thrown out of the window. Generally goes with it, gender equality, same-sex unions में खाली होता है. Gender norms that we have inherited get reinforced in a host of ways. Right? So this is definitely true. Greedy work results in a men's club, ensuring that women, अब क्या बकवास है ये, seriously. So all the 3 questions were incredible with great options. I hope all the explanations are clear, guys. We are done with this passage. Yay, I'm going to meet you for the next one. Hey guys, so this is the last passage from XAT 2025. Let's see what it says. He talks about laughing at something, laughing at a hat. Now, the starting sentence itself tells me that this is going to be a philosophical passage, but chalo, let's dive right in. You may laugh at a hat, but what you are making fun of in this case is not the piece of felt or straw. A hat is generally made of felt and straw and some other material, but the shape that men have given it. So you're not laughing at the hat as such. Uski kya auqat hai hat ki? When you laugh at a hat, you laugh at man's ability to give it that kind of a weird shape or whatever, but the shape that men have given it. The human caprice whose mold it has assumed. Caprice is the human idiosyncrasy, the human whimsicality. आदमी ने सोचा अच्छा hat ऐसा होना चाहिए. So human caprice whose mold it has assumed. The human idea gave it that shape. It is strange that so important a fact, and such a simple one too, has not attracted to a greater degree the attention of philosophers, right? Several have defined man as an animal which laughs. They might equally well have defined him as an animal which is laughed at. ठीक है? उस पे ही हंसना चाहिए. For if any other animal or some lifeless object produces the same effect, it is always because of some resemblances to man, of the stamp he gives it or the use he puts it to. So for everything, the connection is with man. He has given it that shape, he has talked about it, he has given it that name. So when you laugh at something, you're not actually laughing at that particular thing, you're laughing at how man, out of his ideas, out of his head, has given it that shape. ठीक है? Here I would point out as a synonym equally worthy of notice the absence of feeling which usually accompanies laughter. So the author is a little crazy. He's talking about laughter, but then he talks about hats and men, and something again comes back to laughter. The absence of feeling which usually accompanies laughter. It seems as though the comic could not produce its disturbing effect unless it fell, so to say, on the surface of a soul, blah, 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 skim a little bit. Indifference, now he talks about this. Okay, absence of feeling, capital mein hai, pay attention to it. So that means indifference. Okay, is its natural environment. For laughter has no greater enemy than emotion. I do not mean that we could not laugh at a person who inspires us with pity, for instance, or even with affection. But in such a case, we must for the moment put our affection out of court and impose, okay, कुछ silence, pity, ये वो philosophical कचरा, okay, ये सब पोर्शन होता है जो आप स्किम कर सकते हो. In a society composed of pure intelligences, there would probably be no more tears, though perhaps there would still be laughter. So laughter is going to be there even if people forget how to cry, whereas highly emotional souls in tune and unison in whom every event would be this would neither nor not understand laughter. So not everybody is going to be able to understand laughter, and laughter, he says, absence of feeling is there. Okay, it accompanies laughter, so he calls it indifference. Itna samajh aaya. The last para. Try for a moment to become interested in everything that is being said and done. Okay. Act in imagination with those who act and feel with those who feel. In a word, what are you trying to do? Give your sympathy its widest expansion. There's a colon here, so pay attention. As though at the touch of a fairy wand, you will see the flimsiest of objects assume importance. So just because it's connected with man and connected with laughter, do not think that it's going to be important. And a gloomy hue spread over everything. Now, step aside. Look upon life as a disinterested spectator. So I'm going to pay extra attention to these few lines because this is the end, right? Now step aside, look upon life as a disinterested spectator. Disinterested is somebody who is unbiased. Many a drama will turn into a comedy. If you start looking at life as a disinterested spectator, what will happen? Many a drama will become a comedy and you'll start laughing. You'll be able to see the funny side of it. It is enough for us to stop our ears to the sound of music where dancing is going on for the dancers at once to appear ridiculous. How many, now there is a question, how many human actions would stand a similar test? Should we not see many of them suddenly pass from grave to gay on isolating, okay, them from the accompanying music? To produce the whole of its effect, then the comic demands something like a momentary anesthesia of the heart. You need to forget something in order to be able to laugh. जैसे उसने यहाँ ये बोला है, in a room where dancing is going on, for the dancers to suddenly appear ridiculous, you need to forget the music. Right? Just because music is there and the dancers are dancing, everything appears to be in sync. But you need to just stop the music or forget the music, and then you'll see, oh my God, why are they flailing their arms and legs out there? They look so weird, right? How many human actions would stand a similar test? A similar thing can happen with many human actions. Okay, maybe mother and a child. So everything looks in sync. The mother is feeding the child, the mother is playing with the child. Sab kuch sahi hai. Suddenly you take out something from there. Okay, you are able to see the mother and the child and the relationship because you are not being a disinterested spectator. Okay, यहाँ बोला है as a disinterested spectator आपको देखना पड़ेगा. So अगर आप वो feeling emotion हटा दो उसमें से, and then you see a mother and a child, or maybe a teacher and a student, or as he said, dancer and music, things will start looking weird. So he says here something like a momentary anesthesia of the heart. Its appeal is to intelligence, pure and simple. Clear? Now we have got, मतलब clear तो उतना नहीं हुआ होगा, ये मैं समझ रही हूँ आपकी बात, आपका expression देख रही हूँ, समझ रही हूँ, but we have to go over to the questions because this passage is extremely dense. In the fourth passage, I remember we spoke about gender pay gap and it was a very simple, very easy to understand passage. This is not like that. Densely philosophical, and XAT के passages ज़्यादातर philosophical होते हैं, ठीक है? Now, what does the author best mean when they say, so the passage is dense for us, the passage is dense for the question setter as well. So what he has done is he has taken a question, a sentence, and he has just asked you to infer. Uska rephrasing. When they say it seems as though the comic could not produce its disturbing effect unless it fell on the surface of a soul, okay. You know, इसमें trick क्या है? You should know the meanings of the words, the difficult words there. जैसे let me just decode the words for you. Comic could not produce its disturbing effect unless it fell, गिरा वो, on the surface of a soul that is thoroughly calm and unruffled. Calm का ही synonym है unruffled. So that's the first step. Try to read the words, try to understand the literal meaning. हो गया. Abhi you need to go back and read the portion where it is given as the second step. It seems as though the comic could not produce. Let's go back. यहाँ ठीक है. As a synonym equally worthy of notice, the absence of feeling. So he's talking about indifference over here, which usually accompanies laughter. It seems as though the comic could not produce its disturbing effect unless it fell. Gira, comic, tab hasaya. So to say on the surface of a soul that is thoroughly calm and unruffled, right? Comic falling on a soul that is calm, and then there is this laughter, the accompanying laughter. All right. Indifference is its natural environment. चलो यहाँ तक पढ़ लिया मैंने. अब मैं चलती हूँ question पे, and I'm going to eliminate. Unless one is emotionally detached from the event, this talks about indifference, so I'm going to keep it. It is impossible to appreciate a comical view. This may sound extreme, but please keep it because emotionally detached की बात हुई है वहाँ उस zone में. I'm keeping this. To appreciate humor with an unsettling tone, people benefit from being in a calm state. ठीक है, calm रख सकते हैं, but then there he specifically talks about absence of emotion. Comics are the most effective when the audience is unaware. Most effective, unaware of its context नहीं बोला है उसने बोला है you are aware of the context but get detached, right? So this is eliminated. Comical behavior disturbs those more deeply whose minds are calm and composed. This is opposite. No, it doesn't disturb them. Those people, the calm and composed people, are able to see it more clearly. So it does not disturb them, right? So this is eliminated. Relaxed people tend to find edgy or disturbing comedy funnier. Relaxed people, calmness bola usne mind ka. Edgy or disturbing comedy, why would they find it funnier? There he just talks about detachment. So I don't like this. Ye because of calm and here because detached. These two are left. Look for the difference between these two. Unless one is emotionally detached from the event, okay, detached, indifferent, चल के भी देखते हैं. It is impossible to appreciate a comical view. I'll take you back. यहाँ, the absence of feeling accompanies laughter. It seems as though the comic could not produce. So impossible, right? Its disturbing effect unless it fell, unless. गिरेगा नहीं. On a calm soul, produce नहीं करेगा comical effect. On the surface of a soul, something. For longer has no greater foe than emotion. तो laughter has no greater foe. Laughter का सबसे बड़ा दुश्मन है emotion, he says. That means you have to stay detached. So going by all that, this is justified as your answer. Why not this? To appreciate humor with an unsettling tone. People benefit from being in a calm state. Okay? To appreciate humor with an unsettling tone. There he is not talking specifically about unsettling tone or edgy humor or disturbing comedy. No, he just says anything comical, anything that's a comedy has to fall on a calm soul, and then there has to be detachment. तभी वो उसको वो angle दिखेगा, right? So this is out and this is good as your answer. Densely philosophical, but with a little bit of reading, I think this could have been done. Question 2. Based on the passage, which of the following cannot be inferred? So these are true, 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 and we are looking for one false. Now, comic happens in a setting of emotional detachment. Yaar, ye to goes with the crux of the second para, so this is true. Inanimate objects, that is lifeless objects, can become a subject of laughter because they may project human characteristics. The first para. Hat wala. Ye inanimate objects, ye because they project human characteristics. ठीक है? So this is true. Eliminated, eliminated. Humor only springs from experiences that demand momentary anesthesia. I'll go to the anesthesia part and read. When strong emotions are involved, laughter cannot be evoked. The foe of laughter is emotion. So this is true. Correct? You have to be detached. When you laugh at, true, right. Okay. When you laugh at a hat, you laugh at a human being it represents. Okay. That is true again. So this and this. These two options are connected with the first para. They are out. Humor only springs from experiences that demand momentary anesthesia. I'll take you back to the anesthesia wala thing, and I don't like the part that only wala thing, usme jo hai. So put our affection, okay, there would still be laughter, fine, neither, no, understand, all right. Then here we have imagination, give yours this thing, see the funniest. Now step aside, okay, yahi pe hona chahiye wo. Turn into a comedy. For dancers, how many? Okay, should many to produce the whole of its effect? The comic demands something like a momentary anesthesia of the heart. Its appeal, okay. But he doesn't say only, right? Humor only springs from those. No. So this is false and this should be your answer. This was an easy one. Question 3. Based on the passage, which of the following statements will the author best agree with? So we are looking for one true. F, 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 F. False, 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 false. Right now, comedy is simply a funny way of being serious. Not sure? देखेंगे इसको. Then, life is a tragedy when seen in close up, but a comedy in long shot. Close up and long shot, check करना पड़ेगा. Comedy is an escape, not from truth, but from despair. No, comedy is an escape even from truth. That is what he has said. So, this is false, right? A person who knows how to laugh at himself will never cease to be amused. Okay? Laugh at himself. ठीक है, इसको एक बार check कर लेंगे. Comedy is but tragedy cunningly disguised and popularized for the multitude. Now, a person who knows how to laugh at himself will never cease to be amused. एक तो ये never है. Comedy is but tragedy cunningly disguised and popularized for the multitude. Why would it be like, cunningly disguised? ये सारी चीजें अगर आप देखते हो, okay, go back. All right. I think we'll go to this para. Try for a moment to become interested in everything that is being said and done. Act in imagination with those who act. ठीक है? Connect with those people and feel with those who feel. In a word, give your sympathy its widest expansion, as though the touch of a fairy wand will see the flimsiest of objects assume importance. हर चीज को आप feel करना चाह रहे हो, and a gloomy hue spread over everything. Right? Now, तो ये will see the flimsiest. If you do this, if you try to connect, there will be gloominess. Okay? Now step aside. Look upon life as a disinterested spectator. You have to become disinterested, detached. Same thing what was said in the second para. Many a drama will turn into a comedy. So you see this? If you start getting connected with everything, okay, sympathy, the widest expansion, touch of a fairy wand, you will see the flimsiest assume importance, and then what happens? Gloominess spreads. Now you step aside, look on things as a disinterested spectator, and many a drama turns into a comedy. It is enough for us to stop our ears to the sound with वही examples उसने उसका दिया है. ठीक है, so going with this, I like this. Life is a tragedy when seen in close up, like when you come close to things, when you try to get affiliated with things, but a comedy in a long shot. Based on what I read just now, this is true. Okay. So इसमें elimination अगर करना हुआ, elimination करने ही गई थी, but मुझे ये मिल गया. So ये मिल गया तो ठीक है ना, this is true. यही तो बोला है ना, इसने true false खेलना है, best agree with बोला है. Comedy is an escape not from truth but from despair. ये तो definitely false हो जाएगा. A person who knows how to laugh at himself will never cease to be amused. Laugh at himself का तो I don't remember reading that portion. Comedy is but tragedy cunningly disguised and popularized for the multitude. Let's check this now. Popularized for the multitude, comedy wala. I don't think it's given. The whole passage talks about how we have to get detached from comedy in order to be able to laugh at it. है ना? No, this is not given. So, okay, this is good. Last para में से निकला ये. ठीक है? So, this is true. Out of these 3 questions, you could have done 2 at least. Okay? Second वाला तो definitely. First and third के बीच में you could have taken 1. If you had appeared for XAT 2025, या अगर अभी आप इसको pause करके कर रहे हो मेरे साथ तो. All right, I hope the explanations are clear, guys. I'm going to see you again soon. Thank you.